The President. This Council resumes the second reading debate on the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. Mr. Ronald Chen, Chairman of the Bills Committee on the bill, will first address the Council on the committee's report. Mr. Ronald Chen. President. In my capacity as Chairman of the Bills Committee on Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025, I hereby submit this report to this Council and outline the main issues deliberated by the committee. The purpose of the bill is to amend the Betting Duty Ordinance (Cap. 108), the Betting Duty Regulations (Cap. 108A), and the Specification of Public Officers Notice (Cap. 1C), to empower the Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs to authorize betting on basketball matches, to judge a duty on the net stake receipts derived from the conduct of authorized betting on basketball matches, to allow companies that conduct authorized betting on basketball matches to bet on basketball matches for the purpose of hedging, and to repeal obsolete provisions on guaranteed amount for non-local horse races. Members of the Bills Committee in general support the government's proposal to regulate basketball betting through legislation. They considered that government regulation would help channel the existing gambling demand into a safe and regulated environment, thereby combating illegal gambling and reducing the criminals' sources of income. Members also, in general, support the government's proposal to model on the existing regime for football betting in establishing a comprehensive framework for regulating basketball betting. This is to address the problem of illegal basketball gambling while safeguarding public interests. Members noted that the government established the Paywall Fund in 2003 to finance the implementation of prevention and mitigation measures to address gambling-related problems. Members expressed concern about whether the existing 4 counseling centers under the Paywall Fund provided sufficient coverage for youth services and suggested strengthening campus outreach and family education. The government said it attaches great importance to preventing gambling-related problems, particularly those affecting youth. It will continue to review all aspects of the Paywall Fund's work, including the 4 counseling centers and other public education and outreach initiatives, and will strive to enhance the effectiveness of these efforts. Also, the government will allocate further resources to establish a new center dedicated to providing counseling and support services for youth, in addition to the 4 currently funded centers. This aims to instill correct legal awareness and values among youth, particularly by enhancing their understanding of the harms of gambling addiction through public education. It also serves to remind youth that participating in illegal gambling or placing bets with illegal bookmakers constitutes a criminal offense. The administration said it will review existing publicity channels to strengthen protection for juveniles, including considering enhancing publicity on social media platforms and apps frequently used by young people to remind them of the criminal liabilities associated with illegal gambling. It will advise the Jockey Club to avoid repeatedly using the same warning messages over extended periods to prevent diminishing effectiveness. Also, the authority will consider incorporating real-life cases into its publicity and educational efforts. The administration also said it will continue to work closely with the Paywall Fund Advisory Committee to enhance publicity and counseling efforts targeting young people. The authorities will request the Jockey Club to increase its donations to the Paywall Fund to further strengthen the fund's work. Regarding the proposed basketball betting regulatory framework, members noted that the basketball betting levy would adopt the calculation and collection methods of the football betting levy, with a proposed rate of 50% of the net stake receipts derived from approved bets. Some members expressed support for the proposed tax rate, but noted differing views from various sectors of society on the duty rate. Members were concerned about how the executive and the legislature would review and monitor the tax rate in the future. The administration said if the bill is passed, it will require the Jockey Club to submit regular financial reports. Through these reports and discussions with the Batteries and Lotteries Commission, The administration would review the jockey club's compliance with various licensing conditions, including whether the basketball betting duty rate needed adjustment. The government said the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau would continue to monitor and follow up on the implementation of the new regulatory regime. Once the new regime matures, the Bureau will report to this Council. Furthermore, under the proposed new Section 6(I)(3) of the Betting Duty Ordinance, the Legislative Council may by resolution amend the rate of basketball betting. Neither the Bills Committee nor the administration has proposed any amendments to the bill. President, II.Govt is my report on the work of the Bills Committee. I now express my personal views on the bill. According to statistics provided by the Jockey Club, in 2024, the turnover of illegal gambling reached $70 to $80 billion. It is expected that bettors reach 430,000. So it shows that illegal gambling is penetrating the community, and it shows that the existing measures cannot effectively mitigate illegal gambling. The funds from illegal markets is not regulated. During the Bills Committee stage, the Secretary said time and again that the government does not encourage gambling and that combating illegal gambling requires law enforcement as well as public education. This legislation is to reduce the room for illegal betting and to direct the funds and turnover into legal channels. This is to safeguard people's interests as well as to maintain social security. So I support this bill. During the public consultation, there were views that the Jockey Club should not monopolize on accepting bets. I oppose to this. This is because if we have an open tendering, this may increase the cost, and also there might be wider publicity campaign on betting, and this defeats the purpose of not encouraging betting, and this is not beneficial to the community. Also, there's a rule that bets should not be accepted for local basketball matches. Betting should be focused on overseas matches. This is not to intervene with local betches as well as local operation. After the passage of the bill, the police should step up law enforcement to combat illegal betting on local matches. This is to promote integrity as well as healthy and sports development. On education, apart from telling people not to get addicted to gambling, we should also tell people about the harms of gambling. For example, it will affect family relations, and we should guide citizens to make the safe and the right choice. There are worries that after the bill is passed, young people may get lured into taking part in illegal betting and may become problematic gamblers. According to statistics from the 4 counseling centers over the past 5 years, people with gambling disorder, those aged below 18, there were 102 of them, accounting for 1.6% of the total number. Statistics show that young people is not the major group suffering from gambling disorder. However, basketball is very popular among young people. There are many international batches, for example NBA as well as EVA. They attract wide attention. There are worries that young people may be curious about these matches as well as basketball betting. So at the initial phase, there should be strengthened publicity to clearly send out the message that young people should not take part in illegal gambling. Some members pointed out that radio as well as TV may not be the right channels that target young people if there are publicity campaigns, because they rarely use these media platforms nowadays. There are views that there should be strengthened publicity on social media. I support this idea. However, the government should also step up collaboration with schools. There should be collaboration with parents as well as community stakeholders to tell people not to take part in illegal gambling. There will be one more center under the Pingwall Fund. This is to increase the coverage of its services. These counseling centers, apart from providing counseling and support services, they could serve as frontline platforms to learn about the change of young people's habits in gambling. After basketball betting is made legalized, we should learn about whether they are exposed to gambling activities and whether they have become addicted to basketball betting. Through data collection and analysis, we can come up with more targeted counseling strategies as well as preventive measures to reduce the impacts on gambling on young people. Also, the Jockey Club will allow bettors to choose to suspend their investment in their betting accounts for 2 to 3 years. However, during the suspension period, bettors will not be able to place bets or open new accounts. This is to help bettors manage their gambling behavior. Bettors will, however, need to submit application forms at the Jockey Club. If we can have an app that encourages bettors to voluntarily suspend the services, it could be more effective. However, if you are to resume the account, you have to do this in person. The Jockey Club can, through its app, set limits on the betting account stake limit, and there could be pop-up messages reminding bettors that they have already placed a certain amount of bets in a particular week. This is to help restrain betting behavior. Also, some members hope that the Jockey Club would devote more funds into helping develop sports in Hong Kong. Apart from charitable donations, there could be an incentive scheme. Recently, the Jockey Club devoted $70 million on a community scheme to help develop basketball activities in Hong Kong. We hope that these schemes can be made regular in the long run and that it will inject impetus into local sports development. Legalizing basketball betting is not to encourage gambling. Instead, we are asking citizens to stay away from illegal betting. Through law enforcement as well as public education, we should combat illegal gambling activities and create a more responsible betting environment. Thank you.
Mr. Chan Kim-po, thank you, President. I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. The bill seeks to regulate basketball betting activities through legislation so as to combat illegal basketball betting. According to the paper, the illegal market turnover for basketball gambling in 2024 rose substantially by 186%, with 430,000 Hong Kong residents participating in the activities, and with a market illegal turnover of 32 or 70 to 90 billion dollars. There is a need to regulate basketball betting by mirroring the regulatory regime for football betting so that a legalized channel can be provided and to prevent people from turning to illegal operators. In 2023, football betting was legalized and over $1,000 billion have been channeled to legalized betting channels. The government should charge a levy which is 50% of the net stake receipt, drawing on the football betting arrangement. Now, this will tap a new revenue stream for the government, which can be spent on education, healthcare, and helping the privileged, the underprivileged. The government has undertaken to adopt a multi-pronged approach in stepping up public education, counseling, such as the Pingwall Fund, counseling centers, etc., so as to mount public education. There are also a number of measures to prevent excessive gambling, such as prohibiting minors from placing bets and also limiting the hours when betting advertisements could be placed. This will help introduce a more stringent regulation on gambling, and I support that. I want to emphasize another point. The Hong Kong Jockey Club is a non-profit making organization, and the HKJC is a self-financed organization. It does not receive any subsidy. So even with increase in income, no member of the Hong Kong JC will benefit from the arrangement. So I don't think there is a need to declare the interest, since no direct or indirect pecuniary interest is involved. Mr. Chan Siew-Hong. President, I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. With more rampant illegal basketball betting activities, we now have illegal bookmaking websites, and the activities are really rampant. According to the HKJC's information, basketball betting has become the second most popular activities after football betting. And according to the latest information, the situation has worsened. In 2023, about 100 to 150,000 people in Hong Kong took part in illegal basketball betting, and a year later this figure jumped to 430,000. The amount of stake in 2024 reached $70 to $90 billion. This is a staggering increase. Now, there are views that the government should step in and introduce measures to regulate illegal basketball betting. The Financial Secretary, in his 2025-26 budget, proposed actively exploring regularizing the basketball betting activities. And according to Oxford's study, 49% of gamblers would place bets with a HKJC if a regularized channel is provided. Now, the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau reviewed the situation with the Hong Kong Jockey Club and decided to set up a regulatory regime on basketball betting activities. Now, the government's policy is not to encourage gambling, and there are three factors the government considers: whether there is a genuine public demand and a continuous demand for the activities, and whether there is a problem with enforcement. Now, if substantial resources are put in to restrain the activity to no avail, then another approach should be taken. The third consideration is whether regularizing basketball betting could win the heart of society. Now, President, the bone of contention of this bill is whether the government would be encouraging gambling by introducing this bill. As a member of the Bills Committee, I'm reminded that the objective of this bill is to address public demand for certain gambling activities so as to allow legalized channels to prevent gamblers from turning to illegal operators or placing bets, and also to prevent the funds to go underground and assist in other criminal activities. I fully agree that the government should set up a regulatory regime to address public demand for such gambling activities. According to information, after legalizing football betting in 2023, $1,581 billion have been channeled to legal gambling activities. Imagine this amount of funds being channeled to syndicates instead. The consequence would be catastrophic. I emphasize that it is the government's responsibility to combat illegal gambling. Ineffective enforcement would mean syndicates continuing with bookmaking activities, and that there will be waves of illegal gambling in society. I'm happy to learn that the government has made it clear that it will not relax its efforts in combating illegal gambling. And the crux of the matter is that the public should understand there is no need to participate in sport through illegal gambling. During the public consultation period, we received altogether 1,063 written submissions in support of the government's bill, i.e. 94%. There are also views that after legalizing basketball betting, there will be a problem in the sense of exacerbating gambling activities, which is contrary to the government's public education and publicity efforts. More young people will be attracted to place bets. According to Pingmore Fund's study in 2021, for secondary school students taking part in the survey, the number of people placing bets in such activities dropped from 33.5% in 2012 to 15.9% in 2021. Yet, according to the counseling services for those requiring help below the age of 30, the percentage has increased from 21% in 2019 to 30% in 2023. And for online gambling, this percentage jumped from 6% in 2019 to 49% in 2023. So this is a worrying trend. I'm concerned whether the government has sought an understanding as to whether minors taking part in gambling has now come under control. I'm happy to learn from the government's reply that according to the latest survey of Pingmore Fund, another survey we conducted to gauge the situation. And according to the 4 counseling centers funded by Pingmore Fund, for those seeking help below the age of 18, the percentage has remained at 1%. That shows the effectiveness of the government's publicity strategy. But I'm concerned whether these counseling centers will be able to help youths at risk or those who haven't reached out for help. And according to surveys, because of class suspensions during COVID, our students' mental and physical well-being have been affected, and that some young people tend to stay hidden and they could become gamblers or addicts. I think the government should not just conduct quantitative studies. There should be a more comprehensive study to get an understanding of the situation. I'm also happy to learn that the government's efforts in combating illegal gambling will not stop at the passage of the bill. The government will continue to review the effectiveness of the 4 counseling centers. There will also be a new center set up dedicated to young people so as to help cultivate correct values among young people through public education. Now, the government has taken action to show us that just by legalizing basketball betting, the government is not encouraging gambling. There is a multi-pronged approach in combating the problem. I also suggest that the government make better use of social media and other video platforms to mount publicity targeting young people. The government should also work proactively with stakeholders to identify high-risk cases so as to prevent young people from becoming addicted.
支持2025年博彩稅修訂條例草案。條例草案
Mr. Benson, look, I speak in support of the basketball betting amendment bill, which involves legalizing basketball betting and allowing the charging of a duty. So I believe, like the government said, this bill will help combat illegal betting. The primary objective is to combat illegal betting, which is getting more rampant in Hong Kong.
令到非法網
Technological advancement has made illegal betting platforms more common. In 2024, there were 430,000 Hong Kong residents taking part in illegal basketball betting, representing an increase of 186%. It is believed that the turnover amounted to $70 to $90 billion, up 119%. This bill is to help suppress illegal betting activities to make it less rampant. This will increase the revenue of the public coffers. According to the annual report of the Jockey Club in 2025, the total betting turnover amounted to $172 billion, and betting turnover amounted to $21 billion, and it contributed to $13 billion of betting duty to the government. According to the SAR government, let's say every year, the total betting turnover amounted to $28 billion. It is expected that the Jockey Club will contribute $1.5 billion of betting duty to the public coffers. The government is going to model on the football betting regime to maximize the benefits of this regime, and this will also lower the risks brought by illegal betting. I also noted that. According to the public consultation results, the public in general support legalizing basketball betting. They are concerned about how Jockey Club will enhance the allocation of resources to sports development. There are high expectations from the public. I believe that after the passage of the bill, Jockey Club and the administration will work on the 4 following areas to respond to the public aspiration. First, enhancing law enforcement to combat illegal betting. The police should continue to monitor the trend of illegal betting and take actions where appropriate. There should be more online patrols. Through different channels, the police could gather intelligence and take law enforcement actions against illegal betting platforms. With greater revenue on the Jockey Club side, the public expects that the Jockey Club will do more on charity events. I hope that in future the Jockey Club can contribute more in terms of sports development and support to the community. Thirdly, the Jockey Club has been promoting measures in terms of restraining gambling activities and behavior. Earlier this month, the Jockey Club, for the 5th time, has been accredited as the organization that helped restrain gambling behavior. Also, there is the Paintball Fund from the Jockey Club, which roll out preventive and mitigating measures to deal with gambling disorder. I hope that the Jockey Club should, in accordance with future circumstances, inject more funds to the Paintball Fund. This will help roll out preventive measures for young people to teach them about the harms of gambling. Fourthly, to promote horse racing tourism. With an increased revenue on the Jockey Club side, there should be more resources dedicated to enhancing the facilities at the race courses. This is to attract high-spending tourists. This will also echo the initiatives under the Tourism Development Blueprint 2.0. I believe in future the Jockey Club will work on sports development, supporting the community. It will continue to play an active role in promoting economic growth. I so submit I support the bill. Dr. Chow Man Kong, I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. Overall speaking, I took part in the deliberations at the Bills Committee, and I understand that this bill will effectively direct legal funds into safe channels, and this will help combat illegal gambling and increase public coffers revenue. The Jockey Club as well as the administration undertake to step up publicity on the harms of gambling, and as well as education campaign for young people. The administration should stand firm on this. I have the following suggestions. From our experience on legalizing football betting, we should legalize basketball betting, and we should make good use of the revenue we get to support local sports development and combat illegal gambling. Since 2003, where football betting was made legal, over $1.5 trillion has been directed to legal channels, and it has brought about $116 billion of revenue of betting duty. The same calculation for football betting is used for levying tax, that is 50% of the net stake receipts. It is believed that $1.5 billion of betting revenue will be brought to the public coffers. Unquestionably, legalizing basketball betting will help increase the government's revenue. We hope that the revenue could be put to good use, for example, to support the development of young people, to combat money laundering, and to encourage people not to get addicted to gambling. Sometimes when we pass by basketball courts at schools as well as at public housing estates, we see that young people are very passionate about basketball playing. This kind of sports can help strengthen the physical and mental health of young people, and it can help with their social relationship. We hope that the administration can make good use of the betting duty and use the money to support local athletes and promote sports education and development. We should promote the basketball culture, and so that our young people can continue to shine. We should also open up more development space for grassroots young people. We hope that the education sector will continue to help monitor whether the administration has fulfilled its promise. Illegal betting has been an underlying problem in Hong Kong, especially when there are major sports events in Hong Kong. Unscrupulous elements often make use of platforms to launch publicity campaigns, especially on online channels. Young people who cannot be controlled, they get lured. In year 2021 to 23, 2,400 people, because they took part in illegal gambling, they got arrested, and the money involved reached as high as $450 million. Many people, they took part in illegal betting, and because of that they lost their family and as well as their savings. Young people get hold of illegal platforms. I hope that the Security Bureau will step up law enforcement. Through technology, there should be more online patrols to combat illegal bookmakers. We should target IP that comes from areas with more illegal bookmakers. This is crucial. The administration should also come up with a communication and liaison mechanism with major social media platforms. When there are advertisements from illegal bookmakers, the government should urge the relevant platforms to remove the posts or even the relevant accounts. If this does not work, the administration should take actions to curb this kind of behavior. Thank you.
Ms. Nixie Lam, President, I speak in support of the bill. A necessary legal framework is set up under the bill for basketball betting. It also shows the determination of the administration to combat illegal betting. Members have already talked about the harms brought by illegal gambling. It affects the development of a person with easy access to the internet. A lot of people have become addicted as a result. This is a timely introduction of a relevant framework because the funds will be channeled into legal avenues. It protects bettors. It also effectively stops the source of income of undesirable elements. Number of members, myself included, are concerned whether the proposed basketball betting activities will affect youngsters. We talked about the possibility of youngsters using an adult phone to place a bet. Gambling activities is very attractive to youngsters. We asked the Hong Kong Jockey Club to put in place technical restrictions on the online platform. They also need to enhance the messages on excessive gambling. A youngsters center should be set up to enhance awareness. Ping War Fund support should be enhanced. We understand that there will be a dedicated center for youngsters in addition to the 4 counseling centers. It aims to raise awareness, help them build correct values. We see that the government not just regulate betting, they have put in place a sound system under which there are support services as well. Basketball betting can develop in a healthy way, which in turn helps the development of sports and other areas. The framework will channel the funds to legal avenues. It will also increase our resources necessary for development in different areas in Hong Kong. I so speak. Dr. Tik Chi Yuen. This bill legalizes basketball betting. I strongly oppose to the bill. I urge the administration to withdraw the bill and step up their efforts to combat gambling activities. Gambling brings a lot of problems. It will cause depression, anxiety. It also causes financial issues, which in turn affects a family. It may cause someone to spend excessively. It also affects a person's values. Students and adults are affected in their work and their studies because of gambling. In many cases, it costs them their families. Illegal gambling brings harm. Legal gambling activities also brings harm because it affects the harmony in a family. Legalizing gambling will not make gambling better. The government's aim is to use legislation to combat illegal gambling. But we see that in the case of football betting, the situation remains the same. It gives the impression that legalizing it is to compete for revenue with illegal bookmakers. In 2003, football betting was legalized. The stake has increased to $160 billion from $16 billion. Illegal gambling has not stopped. The market has been expanded with illegal and legal activities taking place at the same time. The experience from football betting is that using legislation to legalize gambling will end in failure. The situation for youngsters is worse. According to Ping War Fund survey says that 60% of youngsters have engaged in gambling. The percentage has increased from 7.2% to 21% in the number of requests for assistance. There are 18,000 cases in 2003. There has been an increase by 50%. When it comes to major matches, the situation gets worse. During the World Cup in 2022, the number of requests for assistance has increased by 70%. So prohibiting youngsters will not help because they will use adults' phones and e-wallets to place bets. International experience tells us that in the UK, when it comes to those between the age of 16 to 24, the problem has increased to about 2.4% in 2023. In Victoria, the cost of gambling stands at about 14.1 billion Australian dollars. A study in the US shows that after legalizing sports betting, the percentage of personal debt has increased. The cost is borne by healthcare system, social welfare system, as well as individual families. Legalizing betting will make gambling activities more rampant. There are many basketball matches. It's very easy for gambling activities to become a routine activity. If youngsters have access to high-stake gambling, it's not just fun, it will be an addiction. The black market will not disappear because you have legalized the activity. There are betting on credit. There are many different appeals. It's very difficult to detect these clandestine activities. We have some suggestions. A dedicated team should be set up. The team will have long-term collaboration with overseas counterparts. Funds will be tracked and traced. Platforms will put in place requirements to verify one's age. The borrowing of and use of other people's accounts should be stopped. Resources from Pink Wall Fund should be increased when it comes to allocation to schools. We should also increase the financial and online literacy of students. There should be a referral mechanism in place. We need to forge a culture of no gambling. Sports should remain as sports activities. Support services should be enhanced. There should be round-the-clock hotline for youngsters. Counseling on different areas should be grouped under one umbrella. Legalizing it doesn't mean that there won't be any harm. The experience of football betting shows us that the black market remains. Number of punters has increased. The social cost far outweighs tax revenue. Sports should teach one to cooperate and work with others, not to gamble. For the future and health of our youngsters, we should stop legalizing gambling. We should divert the resources on counseling and support. We should not encourage gambling. I speak against the bill.
Dr. Cho Chong-ming, President, I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. The bill seeks to amend the Betting Duty Ordinance to empower the Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs to authorize betting on basketball matches and to charge a duty on the net stake receipts derived from betting on basketball matches. In 2023, 150,000 Hong Kong residents took part in illegal basketball gambling. Last year, the figure rose to 430,000 people. As for the illegal gambling turnover, in 2023, $34 billion were recorded. This figure jumped to $90 billion last year. In terms of the number of punters and the stake amount, the increases have been staggering. The Home and Youth Affairs Bureau conducted a public consultation exercise on regulating illegal basketball betting activities. 1,063 written submissions were received. 94% of the respondents supported regularizing basketball betting. So I think there is a need to regulate basketball betting. This is also what the people want. This bill is the fruit of the effort of the Home and Youth Affairs Bureau in addressing the current trend of increase in basketball betting activities. This is a very complex social situation that we should not avoid. We should not avoid, and legalizing basketball betting could control illegal bookmaking as well as generate revenue for the. So there are multiple benefits. Football betting has been legalized in Hong Kong for years. It has not caused a major rise in gambling activities. On the other hand, we have been able to control the situation. In terms of sports gambling around the world, legalizing such activities has been the major strategy in reining in gambling activities. There are also stringent regulatory regimes in many jurisdictions. Legalizing basketball gambling in Hong Kong would be a more practical solution than ignoring the illegal bookmaking activities. From a practical point of view, illegal basketball gambling in Hong Kong and in other places are getting more and more rampant. There are many illegal bookmaking websites. Even with advanced technologies, it's very difficult for the police to trace and track down criminals, and this has caused a surge in illegal basketball gambling activities. Without legalized channels, the turnover would increase the risk of money laundering. There will also be increase in security risks. I believe that through this bill, we can put in place a regulatory as well as administrative regime to address the problem of illegal basketball betting. In order to give full play to this bill, my suggestion is to step up enforcement on illegal gambling together with public education. The government should also dedicate resources to this purpose. In other words, turnover from legalized basketball gambling should be spent on enhancing district governance, youth development, culture, sports, so that the general public can get a share of this effort, and this will help boost public acceptance. According to international and local experience, betting duty generated should be spent in public services so as to enhance the public's acceptance and understanding and support as well. The second suggestion is to upgrade Ping Wo Fund. The community and the government should also join hands to enhance public education. Preventive measures should be taken. Counseling should be provided to addicts. Third suggestion, we should enhance protection for minors. The prohibition on minors placing bets should be strictly enforced. There should also be more advanced age verification technology adopted on the digital platforms to prevent young people from taking part in gambling. Fourth suggestion, the Hong Kong Jockey Club should enhance its digital capability and develop more tools to restrict, for example, the stake amount or the duration of gambling so as to promote responsible gambling. The fifth suggestion is to set up an information exchange platform with neighboring cities to crack down on illegal bookmaking together. All in all, we should adopt a pragmatic attitude and keep abreast with the times so as to regulate basketball betting for the sake of ensuring social stability and public security. I so submit. Mr. Edward Lau. Thank you, President. I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025 so as to legalize basketball betting. Well, this has always been my suggestion. I think basketball betting should be regulated. This is also an echo to what the DAB proposed to the Financial Secretary earlier. So I'm happy to learn that the government has taken this suggestion on board. In order to combat the rampant illegal basketball betting activities, this bill has been proposed, and this can also help tap a new source of revenue for the government. So this is a response to the community's aspiration. In recent years, illegal basketball betting has become more rampant. According to estimates, the annual stake amount involved was $70 to $90 billion, and this is a rising trend. And the turnover is left outside of the taxation system. Not only will the turnover help fund criminal activities, it will also provide resources for syndicates. The government must not sit on its laurels and ignore the problem because it will only get worse. Legalizing basketball betting is one way of combating illegal gambling. It's also a good way to go after the syndicates. So I think some kind of regulation is necessary. Offering a legalized channel for members of the public to take part in gambling could help curb illegal gambling. Well, I was for a while a member of the Betting and Lotteries Commission. I understand the government is very careful not to encourage gambling. So when the idea of legalizing basketball betting was floated, the government always abided by some major principles. That is to say, where there is major public demand and a sustained demand, and that no sufficient resources could be devoted to solving or addressing this demand, should the government legalize betting. I think that these principles or criteria are met. Like I said, illegal basketball gambling activities have been on the rise. Regardless of the resources put in, the government has not been able to curb such activities effectively. During the consultation period, 1,063 written submissions were received, and a majority, that's 94% of these submissions, are in support of the proposal. So I'd say that the criteria have been met, but of course I'm concerned during the consultation period. views have been received. And in fact, during the meetings of the Bills Committee, members of the public or members of this council have expressed concerns about the impact on young people. Illegal bookmakers would often make use of social media or other channels in order to entice young people to take part in gambling. But this proposal comes with some stringent conditions. For example, minors will be banned from placing bets. In 2003, the government established the Pink Wall Fund to subsidize NGOs and schools in mounting publicity campaigns and targeted public education so as to minimize the impact on young people and reduce exposure to gambling. The government has also made reference to football betting arrangements. Now, I'm in strong support of that. Bookmaking is very rampant. We should tackle the problem as quickly as possible. If the regulatory regime is set up starting from scratch, it may take a long time, whereas if we make reference to the football betting arrangement, it will be more effective and expeditious. A similar duty rate of 50% could be charged. This can help increase government revenue, and the balance has been drawn. I think this is effective in legalizing basketball betting. There is also a ban on placing bets on local basketball matches. I support that as well. I hope that after passage of the bill, there'll be an increase in government revenue. At the same time, for the Hong Kong Jockey Club, more support could be given to the sports sector in Hong Kong. There are resource constraints on supporting local football and basketball activities. So the government should ask the Hong Kong Jockey Club to devote more resources to support these areas by, for example, setting up a dedicated fund. This can help promote healthy lifestyle among young people. It can also help increase government revenue. To sum up, the situation is chaotic at the moment, so I think a regulatory regime on basketball betting should be introduced. So I support this bill. I hope this bill can be passed as quickly as possible so as to combat illegal betting.
Dr. Frankie Young, President, I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. I have to emphasize that I do not encourage gambling, and I do not think gambling would bring about positive values to our society. I support this bill because of pragmatic considerations. I hope that through regulation there will be less illegal gambling activities. I hope there will be strengthened services for those suffering from gambling disorder. There's a greater demand for gambling activities apart from horse racing, football betting, and March 6 lottery. There should be more legal channels. Basketball is one of the most popular sports among young people. According to the public consultation in April this year, over 90% of the submissions received support legalizing basketball betting. It is believed that by doing so, we can combat illegal betting. Otherwise, people will turn to underground market, and this will give rise to money laundering, violence issues, as well as debt chasing and gambling addiction issues. If we do not combat illegal betting, we cannot offer enough support to those suffering from gambling disorder. The bill seeks to empower the Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs to authorize betting on basketball matchings, and a basketball duty of 50% of the net stake receipts derived from the conduct of authorized betting will be charged. This is a fair system. This can help regulate the market, and this can also create a stable stream of revenue sources for the government. The government said it will allocate part of the revenue for supporting sports development and youth training. The Pingmo Fund was established in 2003. Since then, it has been preventing and mitigating gambling issues through subsidy, researches, and public education. It offers counseling and treatment services for problem gamblers. It offers support, and it deserves our recognition. In the past 2 decades or so, there have been different views on the effectiveness of the fund. The Pingmo Fund, on publicity campaigns targeting young people, there are insufficient efforts. While the fund has been rolling out different subsidy schemes for schools, young people is still exposed to online advertisements on social platforms. There are more and more of these advertisements, and the publicity campaigns under the Pingmo Fund is not wide enough to get hold of young people. So we are facing many challenges still. We have a number of counseling support centers, but a lot of problem gamblers, because of the lack of knowledge, they do not take the initiative to seek help, and we need a early identification system. Currently, relevant publicity campaigns focus on mitigating gambling addiction. It does not really help young people to take part in restrained gambling. We have seen publicity videos on TV. There have also been carnivals and relevant activities on the streets. However, there are limited activities in the cyber world. We've seen more and more hidden cases involving gambling issues. While we legalize basketball betting, we need to have more mitigating measures to reduce negative impression on basketball gambling. The government should also review its allocation and distribution of resources. Apart from the Pingmo Fund, there should be more targeted measures. First, there should be strengthened education for young people to increase their self-control and to reduce the risks of them being exposed to illegal betting. There should be education concerning their daily lives. There should be simulation, game activities, as well as theater, workshop, and so on. The government should make use of short video platforms as well as social media channels to work with different sectors in the community to build a communication channel with young people, to teach them the right and positive values so that they can say no to gambling. The government should develop a mobile app on self-assessment. There should be support hotlines as well as counseling services and interactive learning support for young people so that they can build the healthy and the right concept. There should be an identification mechanism to identify problem gamblers. There should be outreach activities at the community level. We should train up frontline social workers as well as healthcare professionals so that they can identify problem gamblers. There should be mobile vehicles offering counseling support in high-risk areas. There should be also an anonymous reporting online channel. We should combine AI with chatbot technologies to lower the number of problem gamblers. The government should also work with mental health organizations to offer multidisciplinary professional support for problem gamblers so as to offer the relevant therapies and treatment for them so that they can rebuild their lives. The government should continue to review the regulatory regime to ensure the regime is transparent and that it is shouldering its social responsibility. We should look at whether there's an increased ratio of problem gamblers and young people taking part in basketball betting. We should educate young people on restrained gambling. I support the bill, but I have to stress again that I'm not encouraging gambling. I think that while the government promotes basketball betting, we should adopt a preventive-based approach, and through system design and community support, we should reduce the negative impression on basketball betting. Thank you. Mr. Ma Fung Kwok. Deputy President, I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. We see rampant illegal betting activities in recent years. According to the Jockey Club, in 2023, there were about 100,000 to 150,000 Hong Kong bettors who bet illegally in basketball. And we see an increase of 186% in terms of the number of illegal basketball bettors, with around 430,000 Hong Kong residents having betted illegally on basketball. It is believed that from 2013, the amount involved in illegal betting rose from $32 billion to $35 billion to $70 to $90 billion in 2024. This provides funds for illegal criminal activities. We are facing immense challenges. That's why we have this bill. And by modeling on legalizing football betting, we are creating a regulatory regime for basketball betting. This is to direct illegal betting demands to legal channels. Illegal betting is not just unlawful, it gives rise to a series of social problems. For example, money laundering, financial frauds, and cross-boundary crimes. This allows a huge amount of funds flowing in underground channels, and this gives rise to challenges, and it damages our reputation as a financial center. And one of the reasons behind is that we see technological advancement, and it lowers the threshold for taking part in this kind of gambling activities. Illegal bookmakers promote illegal betting through social media channels, and there are games designed by illegal bookmakers that blurs the boundaries between entertainment and illegal betting. An organizer during an international football match last year conducted a survey with 700 to 800 students. Results shows that over 12.5% of the students had experience in gambling, and among them, senior secondary students, 61.5% of them took part in illegal betting with illegal bookmakers. So we have to step up protection for young people. Responsible gambling should be one of the core messages to be sent out by the government. Gambling should only be conducted in a regulated environment, and this is in line with the overall interests of our community. So the government in future has to step up public education. On one hand, it should work with schools, NGOs to offer community support. There should be activities on campus through talks and seminars. And through real-life cases, we should teach young people the harms of getting addicted to gambling. On the other hand, we should leverage the power of social media and other forms of media to tell young people about the harms. And at the same time, we should teach people about legal basketball betting. If this bill is passed, we will have increased tax revenue. We should make use of the increased revenue in a reasonable manner and maximize the benefits for society. It should be dedicated to charitable purposes. Most of the revenue should go to the Pink Wall Fund to enhance the role of the Pink Wall Fund. We should also have targeted measures for young people. The Pink Wall Fund is an important platform to prevent illegal betting. So we should make use of the resources more effectively. The fund should be dedicated for the development of Hong Kong. It should go to the development of sports as well as basketball in Hong Kong. The fund should also be used in small and medium-scaled sports activities. This is to enrich people's lives. And on the cultural front, there should be exhibitions as well as theater shows and art education. For example, there should be support to small-scale theater groups, and we should offer subsidy to these groups and schools for procuring equipment. So this is not just about legalizing basketball betting. This is also about charitable events, and we need the concerted efforts of different sectors of the community. While we strive to increase revenue for the public coffers, we should also look at the social responsibility that should be shouldered by the relevant parties. So we need both education as well as a multi-pronged approach to combat illegal gambling.
Mr. Jeffrey Lam. Thank you, Mr. Deputy. I speak in support of the bill. The goal of the bill is to regulate basketball betting activities and to impose a duty. The government's stance is not to encourage gambling. This is something that I identify with. However, reality is different. We see a persistent demand for gambling. In recent years, there has been rampant activities of basketball betting. In 2024, the number of punters in illegal gambling on basketball games has increased by 186%. Over 430,000 residents participated. The turnover is as high as $90 billion. Online platforms use technology to lure punters. They also make it easier to place bets. Some punters have ended up in debt. Technological advancement makes illegal gambling activities more clandestine. Illegal bookmakers make use of technology to hide their activities. It's very difficult for enforcement agencies to find them. If the government doesn't intervene, the problem will become more serious, which gives rise to more social problems and illegal activities. If we set a legal channel to regulate basketball betting, then we can divert the fund to a legal channel. This will reduce the number of illegal activities. It also brings stable income in duty. In 2003, there was the legalizing of football betting. Over 1.5 trillion funds has been diverted to the legal channel. We have over hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue brought from the regulation. I agree that the framework of football betting should be adopted. When it comes to duty, there is room for adjustment in the long term. We need to increase the competitiveness of legal channels. Market competition works. That's why a number of overseas jurisdictions impose a very low betting duty. Our current regime is effective in combating illegal gambling activities. We turn the legalization into revenue. The current approach is pragmatic and suitable. I support the passage of the bill. We need to rationalize, stop at the same time. Legalizing basketball betting is not to encourage the illegal activities. It's just to divert the funds and the demand to a legal channel. This is an effective measure to protect the public, I so speak. Ms. Eunice Young. I thank Mr. Ronald Chan for his work in leading the Bills Committee. I speak in support of the bill. I think the bill addresses the aspiration of the public is an important step to combat illegal gambling. We're talking about a huge amount in illegal gambling. According to the information of the Jockey Club, in 2024, there are about $70 to $90 billion going into the illegal market. There are about 430,000 punters. The figures are alarming. The funds go into black market, which is not regulated, is the major source of income of undesirable elements. The government proposes a bill to regulate basketball betting. The goal is to divert the existing demand from the black market to a legal channel. This is an important step to combat illegal activities and money laundering. It also increases revenue into the public coffers. The experience from football betting shows us that over $1.5 trillion in bets going to the legal channel. If we do not legalize basketball betting, then we will lose in terms of our effort against illegal activities and revenue. We will not neglect the impact of gambling to our society and our youngsters. In our discussion in the committee, we talked about whether youngsters will have easier access to gambling activities because of legalization of football betting. Some people said that by legalizing football betting, it turns it into something that is normal. We have talked about protection measures. The law says that those under the age of 18 will not be allowed to place bets. All publicities will clearly state that those under the age of 18 is not allowed. There will be enhanced measures against youngsters using adults' phones to place bets. Different platforms will be used to enhance publicity. There'll be eye-catching messages reminding the public about the harms of excessive gambling. There'll be information about support services. The administration said that they will step up publicity to different groups, say, for example, schools, parents. They'll make use of video clips, adverts, and social platforms. The government also undertakes that additional resources will be devoted to set up a dedicated center for youngsters in addition to the 4 existing counseling centers. There will be targeted services provided. According to Ping Wo Fund, in the past decade, there has been a decreasing number of young punters, but we should continue to monitor and educate. We need to make sure that youngsters will not be affected because there is the additional basketball betting. The administration and the Jockey Club should look into the possibility of restrictions on the ceiling of amounts as well as activities. The administration said that there are existing mechanisms in place set up by the Hong Kong Jockey Club. These measures aim to enhance restraint. The bill is not to encourage gambling. It is to respond to reality, to legalize these activities to divert the demand to illegal channels, to enhance protections of the general public, the youngsters, as well as the vulnerable. Government has been adopting a multi-pronged approach. In terms of publicity, education, counseling, enforcement, the government's work has been effective. The goal is to reduce the harm brought by gambling to families and different age groups. I speak in support of the bill. We hope that this will effectively combat illegal activities and at the same time protect the people in Hong Kong.
Mr. Kenneth Fogg, thank you. President, now this is a discussion on Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. Last time we had another discussion in this council about the same topic, and that was 23 years ago. You may recall that it happened in 2002. There were wide repercussions in society. There was a heated discussion. At the end, the bill was passed. Now it's been 23 years, so in hindsight, we should consider the overall impact of legalizing football betting and whether legalizing football gambling has made the problem even more rampant. As other members have said, that the objective of this bill is to legalize basketball gambling activities so as to divert the turnover into legalized channels. Now, as cited by other members, the amount of turnover involved was $1.5 trillion. So in 2024-25, the government received a revenue amount of $13.3 billion from the football betting duty. So that amounts to quite a huge amount of additional revenue for the public coffers. So football betting duty provides additional revenue to the public coffers, and this rate could be adjusted if necessary. So there is flexibility. In the coming 5 years, there will be an additional $12 billion football betting duty to be charged. Now, we don't want the overall tax rates to increase. We don't want more tax items to be set up. So betting duty could provide additional revenue to the government. The Hong Kong Jockey Club, as mentioned by another member just now, has been awarded the highest category of award by the World Lottery Association for 5 consecutive years, and this is the highest level of recognition of responsible gambling. And that means the Hong Kong Jockey Club is not an organization that mounts major publicity to promote gambling simply for increasing turnover. So I'm concerned about voices in the community that other institutions should be allowed to take part in the same operation, because there is good track record for the Hong Kong Jockey Club in the past 20 years. It has shouldered social responsibility by not actively promoting gambling. And we also have the Ping War Fund that receives the support. So on the whole, in 2025, we're now discussing legalization of basketball betting and the betting duty. Now, on the whole, I support the bill. I'm not worried that this bill will bring a negative impact on the community. Now, I represent the sports sector. The sports sector in general supports this amendment bill. What's more is that the sports sector would like to see the following happen. That is, the bill's passage should help combat illegal gambling. At the same time, the additional turnover should be diverted to support the development of the sports sector along the 5-pronged strategies. I just talked about government revenue. And the government has also emphasized that the purpose of legalizing basketball betting is not to generate more revenue. They follow the three major principles, and I think other members have touched on the principles, one of which is whether there is a high demand from the community. Now, I'm not going to go into the details again, just to say that the turnover from illegal gambling has increased from $30 billion to $90 billion. The second principle is about enforcement. Well, there are resource constraints to go after illegal gambling, and with technological advancements, people can make use of cryptocurrencies, etc., and that it is getting even more difficult to enforce the law. Third principle, public support. 1,063 submissions received with 94% support of the bill. So there is clear majority support. And likewise, the sports sector has provided its own written submission in support of the bill. So I think this bill complies with the three major principles. And it forms a very solid basis for the introduction of this betting duty amendment bill. As for addressing concerns, the government should do more to step up publicity and public education. Now, other members talked about Ping War Fund. Over the years, the Ping War Fund has given play to its role. And according to the figures, Ping War Fund sits on quite a good balance. It has surplus. So as I talked to the secretary, I told her that Ping War Fund should not only provide financial support to that they should not just receive donation from the Hong Kong Jockey Club. There should be more efforts in disseminating anti-gambling messages. Now, I received a positive response from the secretary. I'm sure with the passage of the bill, the secretary will review the work of Ping War Fund on educating the public. Coming back to my point, this issue is close to my heart because I want more resources to be channeled back to support the sports sector. Well, in the past few months, in terms of developing or sports development and sports events in Hong Kong, I would say that there is active support from the Hong Kong Jockey Club on sports development. For national games, I'd say that some $450 million have been devoted to support this event, and also 70,000 in support of basketball activities in Hong Kong. Now, the bill doesn't provide expressly that the additional turnover should be spent on supporting sports or basketball. I understand it's very difficult to provide expressly this requirement, but I'm happy to understand that the administration has responded positively to the Bills Committee's views. On the whole, I support this amendment bill. I hope this can help curb illegal gambling activities and that additional turnover can be channeled to legalized channels so that more support could be given to sports development in Hong Kong. Mr. Adrian Ho. Thank you, President. I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. Drawing on the reference of legalizing football betting, the government seeks to introduce legalization of basketball betting by this bill so as to combat illegal bookmakers. According to estimates, about $1.5 billion of betting duties could be generated for the SAR through legalizing basketball betting. The resources can be put in enhancing public services and social welfare. Now, legalizing basketball betting inevitably will appeal to members of the public who are interested in gambling. There are also other problems. It is reasonable for the Hong Kong Jockey Club to be the only conductor. Gambling addiction brings great harm to many families, but the government has set up the Ping Mo Fund to provide counseling services to those in need. That there will be an increase in service demand with legalization of basketball betting. The Hong Kong Jockey Club should put in more resources to step up counseling and treatment services, and that some functions should be put in place to restrain addicts. That means users will be allowed to set a ceiling of the stake amount according to their own preference without just relying on the default ceiling provided by the Hong Kong Jockey Club. On the enforcement front, the Hong Kong Jockey Club should regularly review the gambling activities as well as its competitiveness with other overseas platforms. According to views in the community, the betting items provided by the Hong Kong Jockey Club are not flexible enough comparing to overseas platforms. And it seems that the HKJC introduces odds that would allow it to scoop in big profits comparing to other platforms. So we need to strike a balance in terms of setting the odds so as to disincentivize punters from using overseas illegal bookmaking websites instead. Only by doing so will we be able to generate additional turnover for the HKJC. Well, basketball gambling activities are expected to become more popular. The government should be more proactive. Apart from philanthropic activities, the HKJC should shoulder a greater responsibility in promoting social development. We can draw on the experience of other jurisdictions such as Macau SAR. There is a requirement for 3% of the annual betting income to be spent on development, promotion of tourism, social security, etc. The government can introduce such licensing conditions so that the additional turnover can be spent on non-gambling projects such as exhibition venues, arts, cultural performance venues, etc. We can also help support other long-term development projects, improving infrastructure, promoting the transformation of industries, etc., so as to benefit the general public. Basketball is really popular among young people, but we are short of infrastructure. We are short of basketball courts in Hong Kong. Bookings are always full, and it's very difficult to support the long-term development of basketball here. Well, the Hong Kong team, which won the National Men's Basketball League game, was forced to withdraw from the game because of short of basketball venue. So this shortage would undermine the development of basketball in Hong Kong. Part of the betting duty should be invested in building more basketball courts. For example, converting existing basketball courts to those that can align with international standards, or even building new professional basketball stadiums so as to promote sports as an industry. The Hong Kong Jockey Club should also put in more resources to support swimming. Swimming is the most popular sport in Hong Kong, and yet we do not have a world-class swimming arena to hold major international swimming competitions. Singapore this year successfully held the World Swimming Competition. In last year's policy address, the chief executive proposed building a world-class swimming arena in Hong Kong. There will also be another sports facility to support fencing. I think this is exactly where the Hong Kong Jockey Club comes in. It can help alleviate the burden on public coffers. The Hong Kong Jockey Club can play the role of as a fundraiser, so that very soon we will be able to hold world swimming competitions as well as a world fencing championship in Hong Kong, and that the local athletes will be able to give their best to our spectators in the home turf. This can also promote sports tourism and attract more international sports events to be held here. We are a metropolis. This organization can help generate more economic activities for other sectors as well. So the amendment bill is a response to what's happening in our society. It can help plug the loophole in illegal gambling. It can also help tap a new stream of revenue for the government. But this is only the start. The Hong Kong Jockey Club should shoulder more responsibility in preventing gambling addiction, combating illegal gambling, promoting sports and social development in the long run. The Hong Kong Jockey Club should not only be a conductor, it should also be an important partner in promoting social development in Hong Kong.
Ms. Connie Lang, I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. Basketball is one of the most popular sports in the world. NBA stars in Hong Kong have a lot of fans here. So, underground basketball betting activities have been rampant. Of course, legalizing basketball betting can bring about positive impacts, but I'd also like to express my deep concern about potential gambling addiction problems among young people. I hope that we can strike a proper balance. First, I have to recognize the positive impacts that may bring about by this bill. On one hand, this can address the market needs. Underground betting activities could be made legal and brought under the regulatory regime. This could reduce problems like fraud, violence issues, as well as debt chasing. This can also boost the public coffers. According to experience, betting duties is one of the major sources of revenue for the government. The revenue can go to support social welfare, education, and healthcare. This will benefit the wide public. Basketball is popular among our people. By legalizing basketball betting, we can promote basketball activities and enhance our people's sports ability. As a legislator that works on youth affairs, I have to say that we should not neglect the potential social risks. Young people are at their crucial stage of life. They have rather a weak self-control. They are prone to addiction, and this will lead to mental health problems as well as impaired family relationships. They may go astray by taking part in crimes. There are 4 counseling centers under the Ping War Fund. Those who are receiving treatment and aged below 18, over the past 5 years, they amount to 1 to 2%. That is, we do not see a significant increase in terms of the number of young people taking part in gambling. Basketball is not like other sports. We cannot underestimate the attractiveness of basketball for young people. If we cannot ensure control, basketball betting may bring about negative impacts to young people like addiction. Young people may be exposed to illegal betting without proper control and regulation. I raised a concern earlier. The government must clearly tell the public about its bottom line in terms of legalizing basketball betting. Will the government be able to undertake that in the coming 5 years? There won't be more sports betting that will be made legal by the public. I understand the government has to increase its revenue sources, but we cannot legalize everything that may be harmful to the public. We have to solemnly confront the negative impacts, for example, gambling addiction problems. The government has to promise not to legalize all kinds of sports gambling. So while I support this bill, I urge the government as well as the Jockey Club to monitor the behavior of young people. According to a survey, 44% of the bettors, they started betting before they age 18. So I proposed that the government could set a stake limit for betting account of young people. For example, for bettors aged between 18 to 25, their total stake limit each month could be about $500 to $1,000. Through different publicity channels, we can curb gambling addiction problems. I hope the government and the Jockey Club would take these measures. Another way is that we can incorporate anti-gambling education into local curriculum for secondary school students and tertiary students through civic education, for example, and through case studies and sharing from experts. We can enhance young people's knowledge about gambling. Also, there should be clear warnings from the Jockey Club for young people. I think there should be a systematic tracking mechanism that tracks the amount of bets placed by young people. While there have been relevant records made by the Jockey Club, I think we lack the relevant analysis. The government can work with the Jockey Club and collect data about the amount of bets, the frequency of young people placing bets, targeting those aged between 18 and 25. And every 6 months, we should have a report from the Jockey Club about this. This will help us understand young people's betting behavior, and we can then come up with the right strategies. Also, we should come up with a mechanism with a cooling period to prevent young people from arbitrarily taking part in gambling. We should have an identity authentication system. There should be double identity authentication. There should also be a voluntary account suspension mechanism, allowing account users to suspend their accounts for 2 to 3 years or indefinitely. Service users during the suspension period will not be able to place bets or open new accounts. Fourthly, there should be greater support helping gamblers. We should enhance the role of the Ping War Fund. Once every 5 years, the Ping War Fund should hold a survey on people taking part in gambling. The last survey was conducted in 2021. The government should target popular sports betting in these surveys. And where necessary, counseling support services should be expanded. And the Jockey Club should shoulder its social responsibility and increase its devotion of resources. Lastly, I would like to stress that legalizing basketball betting should not be an economic means. We should take into consideration the overall interests of our society. Legalizing basketball betting can help combat illegal activities and increase government revenue, but a lack of regulation and monitoring may aggravate the problem of gambling addiction among young people. The government should send out the clear message that young people should conduct restrained gambling. We should not indefinitely expand the scope of sports betting. We should also listen to views from, for example, social workers, education practitioners, and young people themselves so that we can adjust our measures accordingly. Thank you. Mr. Robert Lee. Thank you, Deputy President. Many Hong Kong people enjoy horse racing and playing mahjong. If they can do it in a restrained manner, this could be a great entertainment. Also, by legalizing basketball betting, we can increase government revenue and increase support for social welfare services. Gambling addiction can bring about mental problems as well as family issues. And this will also aggravate a financial burden for some people. To combat illegal betting and to prevent gambling addiction, I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025 so that basketball betting could be regulated. I suggest that the SAR government learn from overseas betting operators on what kind of measures they take to prevent gambling addiction, to curb the relevant problems. I'd like to take this opportunity to express my views on how the government should regulate betting activities. Basketball betting is opposed by some people. The government does not encourage gambling, but the reality is that a number of countries have legalized basketball betting. And with technological advancement, it's been easier for people to have access to place bets on online platforms. According to the Jockey Club last year, there was a surge in number of people taking part in illegal basketball betting. The number soared by 186%, with over 430,000 Hong Kong residents having betted illegally on basketball in 2024, involving a turnover of about $70 to $90 billion. So I suggest that the government, through legal channels, direct the relevant proceeds to legal avenues. Since 2003, football betting has been made legal, and over $1.58 trillion have been directed to legal channels, bringing about $160 billion of revenue for the government. It is believed that after basketball betting is made legal, every year the turnover will be $28 billion, bringing about $1.5 billion of revenue to the government. The government should make use of resources to step up public education and tell people about the harms of gambling. For those in need, we can offer counseling support to them, to offer timely support to those addicted to gambling and identify problem gamblers early. The government can learn from overseas countries on the preventive measures. For example, some countries ask betting operators to keep the record on the amount of bets over the past 3 years. Through these records, we can identify problematic gambling behaviors or traces. If we notice punters making unusual betting activities, this could be kept in record and we can then take follow-up actions. The Hong Kong Jockey Club is the only lawful betting operators in Hong Kong, and it has all the data. The government should analyze the relevant data and monitor the betting trend in Hong Kong. It should come up with indicators. For example, if there is an increase in terms of the amount of bets by punters, and if there is an increase in frequency of gambling activities, then there should be indicators. The Jockey Club should also train up its staff and make use of technology to identify any gambling addiction problems. The Jockey Club should work with the Paintball Fund as well as different organizations to come up with ways to address problems that stem from gambling. For those who want to make money through gambling, they might as well turn to the right investment and financial products to increase wealth. For those who are planning their retirement life and those who have retired, they have a huge demand for a fixed income. There should be financial products that bring them stable revenue. The mainland has been promoting financial inclusion. A lot of the bonds have not been made retail and they're not popular enough yet. So for financial inclusion purpose, the government should review the existing measures and to promote bonds. While the government does not encourage gambling, basketball betting has existed for a long time. The government therefore should legalize basketball betting and make use of preventive measures as well as technology to analyze the gambling trends in Hong Kong to come up with the relevant measures. I so submit. I speak in support of the bill.
Mr. II.Govt, thank you. I'm the head of a primary school. I'm also from the education sector. I speak in opposition of the bill. Back in 2003, the government legalized football betting. They said that they did not encourage gambling. They said that there was a need to regulate such activities because illegal betting on football was rampant. It's been 23 years. The turnover has been increasing. Starting from 2001, the amount has exceeded that in horsing. It shows that it shows that the turnover on horse racing is smaller than that in football betting. The government said that there was an average revenue of about $5 billion. However, we see that with the legalization of football betting, the age of punters has been decreasing. According to Paintball Fund, gamblers or punters of football betting is more numerous than that of horse racing. There are also illegal syndicates. There are also syndicates engaging in illegal football betting. It shows that legalizing the activity does not make the problem go away. It just opens up another area for people to bet on. The harm doesn't just affect youngsters but adults as well. There are school heads and teachers that have ended up in debt because of gambling. They appropriate funds using their capacity in schools. They have fallen short of the standards expected of them. There are people who said that if you fight betting with betting, the problem will get worse. There are also people who prophesied that the area will be extended to basketball betting. Now it's come true. Using this approach will encourage more people to place bets. Punters without restraint will see its number increasing. Publicity says that betting in moderation will effectively handle the problem. However, the mentality of a bettor is that they will eventually win. There is a proposal to set up an additional dedicated counseling center. They want to make use of support service to alleviate the harm. There are currently 4 counseling centers receiving less than $25 million compared to the enormous turnover and the significant social cost. That amount is a drop in the ocean. You may work on publicity and education, suggesting moderation, but reality says otherwise. You lose because you started off with a win. If you focus on what you win from betting, you ignore the cost that comes with it. Have you not lost enough? I so speak. Mr. Jimmy Ng. If you engage in excessive gambling, it's like pouring money down the drain. I'm sure it's a very memorable, catchy slogan. We should not encourage gambling. We should stop excessive gambling. However, betting is different. Betting is like you just want to try your luck, just like Mark 6. You place a small bet to try your luck, just like when you buy blind boxes. You just want to spend a small amount of money to have some fun. Now I turn back to this bill. The Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs is empowered to grant a license on basketball betting. Some people say that legalizing basketball betting runs counter to the government's stance on not encouraging gambling. We should not see that by legalizing gambling activities, we encourage it. The government's goal is to regulate. In 2023, there are about 10 to 15 Hong Kong bettors engaging in illegal betting on basketball betting. In 2024, it has increased to 430,000, a climb by 186%, which is alarming. The turnover in 2023, they're about $32 to $35 billion. 1 year later, it has increased to $70 to $90 billion. It seems that the illegal market on basketball gambling has grown exponentially. We can draw reference from regulating football betting. It happened in 2003. The government said that they have successfully diverted over 1.5 trillion turnovers to a legal channel, bringing in about 160 billion betting duty. In other words, without the regulation, the huge amount of turnover will go into the black market. Regulating basketball betting, just like that of football betting, will bring in a sizable revenue. It also dampens punters' desire to go to illegal bookmakers. However, we still need to do our gatekeeping well to prevent excessive gambling. Members in the Bills Committee were very concerned about publicity work, especially that on youngsters. The administration should increase the resource allocation. Youngsters love to hang around in the virtual world. While you send people to schools to give talks, you also have to mount some soft publicity on the internet. Say, for example, making your publicity campaign fun, turning the campaign into a game, or turning them into tests to see how determined you are to do it in moderation or not do it at all. You need to keep the efforts up to make it effective. I speak in support of the bill.
Mr. Michael Look, President, I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. Now, President, I think I'm known to many people, including the Secretary and other members, that I am a sports enthusiast. I am a football fan and also a basketball fan. But I never participate in gambling. Now, I haven't broken this rule so far, but I don't rule out and I'm not going to participate in any gambling of football or basketball. I support this bill, however, because yesterday we voted down the registration of same-sex partnerships bill because of the mainstream views. This bill likewise touches on moral values. We're going to talk about smoking in the next debate, but let me focus on this when it comes to public administration and how the line should be drawn between legal matters and moral values. We need to go back to the philosophy. When it comes to moral values, now we have people who uphold higher moral values. They exercise better constraint, and that there is a bottom line when it comes to moral values as well. And usually it involves harms to society or to people, and that some behaviors should be banned through legislation. So when it comes to gambling addiction, it involves greed and also trying one's luck. So it's not really sinister. Like many members have said, it is a kind of entertainment for the average Joe. So I do think we need to adopt the same attitude to consider the moral aspect of football or basketball gambling. We also need to be pragmatic. Now, other members already cited figures. For example, Mr. Jimmy just now cited the surge in basketball betting activities in 2023. There was an increase by 68%, and then 2024, the figure further rose by 186%, with a turnover increase to $70 to $90 billion. Now, my concern is that with the passage of the bill, the Ping Mo Fund should conduct another study to identify the cost of locals taking part in gambling activities so that targeted measures can be introduced to prevent excessive gambling. Now, members have given a lot of suggestions. For example, the app could be designed in such a way to issue pop-up reminders about the bets you have placed. And another member mentioned the configurations of the app, and that if you want to remove certain restrictions, you need to go to a betting center instead of doing it through the app. So this is akin to the paid TV services. Now, the last study was conducted by Ping Mo Fund in 2021. It's been 4 years. I think time is right for another study to be conducted to identify the costs of sports gambling. Last time football betting was legalized in this chamber for many reasons. It had to do with rampant illegal football gambling activities at that time. Now I think more targeted measures should be formulated, and that there should be indicators drawn up to help the Hong Kong Jockey Club or the government on combating illegal bookmaking. Now, according to the Hong Kong Jockey Club's estimate, over half of these activities involve illegal bookmaking, and money laundering could be involved. The turnover goes to syndicates which are involved in criminal activities or even acts endangering national security. So in order to combat illegal gambling, the government should be given more powers to demand, for example, operators of illegal gambling websites or the internet service providers to remove these websites. Online promotion should be banned. Now, like I said, I am a basketball fan, and I understand that this bill allows betting on basketball matches held overseas, usually the NBA or the European Basketball League, so that the turnover could be used to support sports development in Hong Kong. In order to promote social development, we need resources. Resources don't just come from the public coffers. The Hong Kong Jockey Club also chips in to promote local sports. Now, say for football, in fact, I am a member of a district football team, and over the years, I benefited from the Hong Kong Jockey. My son benefited from the Hong Kong Jockey Club's football training program. But I don't think the Hong Kong Jockey Club is attaching equal importance to basketball. There is no authoritative organization to take the lead, so perhaps the Hong Kong Jockey Club can take the lead on this matter so as to hold youth league games. We need a training base for basketball players. For the NBL champion, and that's the Hong Kong Bulls, they had to play the match in Shenzhen because we did not have sufficient venues in Hong Kong. And even for semi-pro basketball teams, they are the victims. They had to pay up in order to get a court to play. Basketball is not an elite sports item in Hong Kong, and that is why the government does not attach enough importance. But it's very popular. So we should make use of this opportunity of legalizing basketball betting to support basketball in Hong Kong. We should build, for example, a training base for basketball. For football, we have one in Tseung Kwan O. Finally, I think a multi-pronged approach should be taken. We should prevent excessive gambling or gambling addiction. We should prevent young people from attempting to take part in gambling. We should cultivate in them the correct values. So I think we have the same goal. We support this bill, but we are not encouraging gambling. The problem itself already exists. What we are doing is to try to rein in the problem as much as possible so as to bring the greatest benefit to our society in future. Mr. Rock Chan. Thank you, President. I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. By making reference to football betting arrangement, a framework is drawn up to regulate basketball betting activities in Hong Kong in order to address public demand for basketball betting and to combat bookmaking. This is a milestone on regulating gambling activities in Hong Kong. Gambling is a double-edged sword. It brings instant gratification and entertainment, but it's also a cause of addiction. It affects not only the punters but their families and the whole community. It has always been the government's policy not to encourage gambling. The government has also set up the Ping Mo Fund to promote preventive and mitigation measures. The efforts should be recognized. However, I think there are two major concerns. According to Ping Mo Fund's study, in 2021, 15.9% of secondary school students took part in gambling. However, in the past decade, the 4 counseling centers of Ping Mo Fund only received those who seek help, and only 2% were minors. That shows minors are not proactive in seeking help. We need to plug the existing gaps in the service delivery model. The government should set up a more proactive mechanism to identify those in need. There is also a lack of publicity on publicizing the harm of gambling on young people. At the moment, the government relies on TV and radio APIs, but young people nowadays are prone to browse the internet or social media platforms. This is where they get the information. So the existing publicity approach will not be effective in raising young people's awareness on the harm of gambling. So as the Hong Kong Jockey Club will be the conductor, it is important that the club takes responsibility. Through the new betting duty arrangement, resources should be put in to enhance the government's effort in discouraging gambling. Specifically, I understand that the government has planned for Ping Mo Fund to set up a new counseling center dedicated to young punters. But this is still not sufficient. The Hong Kong Jockey Club should do more in terms of increase in commitment to support publicity and public education in schools and families. It should also make use of social media platforms and video platforms to disseminate the anti-gambling message. We should also tackle the problem of the borrowing of accounts from parents or other adults by young people. A more stringent age verification mechanism should be put in place, such as mandating the use of biometrics. An assessment mechanism should be set up. The Hong Kong Jockey Club should conduct a study with the passage of the bill to gauge the gambling pattern among young people. If the data shows an increasing trend, the resources should be adjusted to protect young people.
Mr. Eric Yim, I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. Basketball betting should be regulated to combat illegal betting in order to ensure social security. According to statistics in 2024, there were over 430,000 Hong Kong residents taking part in illegal basketball betting, and the illegal market turnover was around $70 to $90 billion. Underground basketball betting brings high risks to punters, and this also increases their risks of credit rating. And this also gives rise to violence issues and debt chasing as well as money laundering. And this has led to many family tragedies. This bill will legalize basketball betting. The government will regulate basketball betting, and basketball betting will be conducted through mature platforms. And basketball betting demand will be directed to legal channels. This can effectively combat illegal betting and curb social issues. My office has received a number of letters from the public. There are concerns that legalizing basketball betting will make gambling a common problem. Back in 2003, Hong Kong legalized football betting, and $1.58 billion of betting turnover was directed to legal channels. Also, basketball betting or betting activities has limited impact on young people. According to statistics, those aged between 18 to 25, the number of bettors were below 1%. In 2009, basketball betting was made legal in the mainland, and it provided resources to basketball development. Football and basketball are similar in the sense that they are both very popular. So it is appropriate to legalize basketball betting to make basketball matches more interesting for the public. And we might not see more people gambling by legalizing basketball betting. Instead, we may see a healthy development of the market. From the financial perspective, after legalizing basketball betting, it is expected that $1.5 to $2 billion of revenue will go to the public office through charging the betting duty. The resources could be devoted to people's livelihood, education, as well as healthcare. The Jockey Club should improve its regulatory system, and we should hold Jockey Club accountable in terms of them operating basketball betting. We can also combat illegal betting, and part of the revenue received by the Jockey Club should go to charitable events as well as youth training. We can also put in more resources to help family and to help those with gambling addiction. I think we should not just plug the loopholes, but we should address the problem at source. We should direct the betting turnover to legal channels, and we should devote the resources to people's livelihood. We should boost the public coffers by increasing the revenue, and this will bring about great impacts. I so submit. Thank you. Mr. Bill Tang. I speak on behalf of the FTU. I support the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. I am a member of the Bills Committee. This bill is about legalizing basketball betting. According to the Jockey Club, in 2023, 100,000 to 150,000 Hong Kong bettors bet illegally on basketball, representing an increase of 70% year on year. The annual illegal betting turnover was about $32 to $34 billion. The situation was worse in 2024. There was a surge of 186% in terms of the number of illegal basketball bettors. It was believed that about 400,000 Hong Kong residents took part in illegal basketball betting. In 2024, the illegal market turnover for basketball betting reached 70 to 90 billion Hong Kong dollars. If we cannot effectively combat and address illegal basketball betting, things will just get worse, and it will be hard for us to regulate illegal betting. So the government is rolling out this bill to curb the chaos. This shows that the government is determined to regulate illegal basketball betting. Also, we had the experience of legalizing football betting. I believe the government will definitely legalize basketball betting, and our party supports the government's move. Basketball is one of the most popular sports for Hong Kong people. It is believed that some young people may get addicted to basketball betting after the passage of the bill. So how can we address gambling addiction issues among young people will be one of the major works that we have to do. Mr. Benson Look raised some very great suggestions and inspiring ideas. young people may have access to illegal bookmaking platforms. So we should manage the problem and put in place preventive measures, and we should educate the public. Young people who are below 18, they are not qualified to make use of legal platforms to place bets. So by legalizing basketball betting, we can hold the jockey club accountable. So I believe we will yield results by legalizing basketball betting in terms of curbing gambling addiction problems among young people. According to the Caritas Center under the Pingwall Fund, those aged between 30 to 49 and get addicted to gambling, the rate is as high as 56%. And people start gambling as early as the age of 16. So proper education is crucial to prevent young people from getting addicted. Addiction can lead to insomnia as well as financial problems. People may even harm themselves if they get addicted. So those who gamble on sports, the rate is as high as 58%. And those taking part in illegal gambling activities, they are in the service industry, and the rate is 37%. So the government should, through different channels, offer counseling support and education. This could be industry specific. The government may work with trade unions to reach out to the high-risk groups. There should be an industry-specific publicity campaign to target those who live in high-risk areas where there are more gambling addiction problems. There could be counseling hotline as well as relevant services rolled out by the Pingwall Fund. Preventive measures and education as well as counseling support are crucial. So the government has undertaken to devote more resources to set up, for example, a new counseling center. The center will offer counseling services, psychological therapy to young people, and also the Pingwall Fund will launch youth activities to enhance their knowledge about gambling so that they know that they should stay away from gambling. There will be more collaborations between the Pingwall Fund as well as other social welfare organizations. As mentioned, trade unions can work hand in hand with the Pingwall Fund on putting in place preventive measures. We should have both education as well as counseling support in order to yield results. Technology develops by leaps and bounds, and there have been various new illegal bookmaking platforms on the market, and this brings about challenges for the government in combating illegal betting. The government should step up its mechanism in identifying illegal bookmaking activities. There are websites that are not suitable for minors, and there are platforms that are packaged as gaming websites. There are even loans offered to gamblers. The Jockey Club should set up websites with pop-up messages, and the advertisements should be updated from time to time. There should be penalty for those who violate the rules, and there should be an anonymous reporting mechanism to encourage people to help combat online illegal betting activities. We should step up education so that people won't be misled or lured into taking part in online illegal betting activities. At the same time, the government should ask the Jockey Club should step up cybersecurity measures. For example, identity authentication technology should be included. For example, there could be fingerprint authentication featured on their apps. to help young people stay away from gambling. Now, let's turn to the borrowing of loans. $100,000 and $200,000 of loans were taken out by people, and the percentage is about 13.9%. And over 85% of gamblers who take out loans, they owe the money, and this is harmful for their mental health and family relationships. There should be one-on-one financial consultation services and counseling support. There should be psychological support offered by counseling centers, and there should be a professional psychologist offering this kind of therapy for those in need, especially those who are in financial debt and problems. We should help them get out of these problems. This bill will bring about positive impact in terms of preventing gambling as well as combating illegal activities. The government departments as well as the different sectors of the community should work together to offer help to those who are addicted to gambling. FTU supports the bill.
Mr. Vincent Chang. Thank you. I speak in support of the bill. The DAB does not encourage sports betting, but according to the administration's paper, it says that there are currently 430,000 punters in Hong Kong, involving about $70 billion in turnover. The government's approach is to legislate to channel the funds back to the legal area. I think this is only one of the alternatives, but not the only one. There should be a multi-pronged approach adopted to address excessive gambling. So the government should also step up its efforts to combat illegal gambling. According to the Hong Kong Jockey Club, with the legalization of basketball betting, there are about 40% of the turnovers will be diverted back to the Jockey Club, but there is still about 60% of the stakes going into the illegal channels. So we need to effectively combat illegal gambling activities. In recent years, the police have done a lot of work. According to information of the LegCo, there are about over 300 requests for removal of websites in the past 2.5 years. Between 2022 to 24, number of arrests is about 5,000 to 7,000 people in relation to gambling activities. There is the digitalization of illegal gambling activities. With the legalization of basketball betting, such activities will increase. The police should step up their enforcement efforts, make use of technology to facilitate identification of illegal websites. They also have to work with other law enforcement agencies to combat syndicates. In addition, we also need to work on prevention and education. We don't want a culture of gambling among youngsters. Currently, there are resources devoted to 4 counseling centers. There will be a dedicated center for youngsters. I believe that this will, in a targeted manner, send out the correct message to youngsters. I have actually made a suggestion. Well, youngsters who love basketball games may engage in betting activities. The Education Bureau may work with the HYAB, targeting various school sector games to publicize. According to the Hong Kong Jockey Club, those between the age of 18 and 25, the number of punters stays below 2%. With the legalization, we hope that the percentage will remain low so that youngsters will grow in a healthy environment. In our deliberation, there has been a lot of comments saying that the Jockey Club can do more charitable work as well as on sports development. According to government's estimate, if we have about $28 billion every year on basketball betting, there will be additional resources for the Hong Kong Jockey Club to make use of. The Jockey Club has said that in the past decade they have allocated $6.7 billion on youth development. There is over $70 million allocated to support development of basketball in Hong Kong. There are views saying that there should be construction of facilities to enhance the quality of basketball in Hong Kong. Well, there is one facility in Shet Mun and a football facility in Cheung Kwan O. These facilities train local players. It has enriched the ecosystem. A similar approach can be adopted for basketball. There can be training bases set up to train athletes so that there will be more support for this type of sports. The government has launched a number of 5 to 10 years sports development programs. However, because of financial constraint, they have not been sustained. Perhaps a new approach can be adopted to provide by providing more facilities on the part of the government. Say, for example, a basketball court in Kwun Chung Public Market. In addition to building more facilities, the Hong Kong Jockey Club can also expand the areas of support to turn the sports development into more elite. I hold a number of public offices. There has been subsidy schemes to make sports development more scientific. There is also resources devoted to the Sports Institute. Perhaps the funds coming from the Jockey Club can be increased to conduct more for the study of different areas. We have the Kai Tak Sports Park. The Jockey Club can do more by supporting athletes to change their career. There will be more revenue going to the direction of the Jockey Club. A dedicated office can be set up. In addition to popularization, turning the sports into elite and mega events, etc., there can be more efforts devoted to diversify the development of sports. There are different needs in our society. Perhaps resources can be properly allocated to culture, social welfare, and other areas so that the revenues will be plowed back to the development of society. We hope that by legalizing basketball betting, the revenue will bring some good to our society. I so speak. Mr. Kenneth Lau. President, I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025 by regulating basketball betting to effectively combat illegal activities. There has been rampant illegal activities. According to information, in 2023, there are about 150,000 punters in Hong Kong. Last year, the number has increased to 430,000 by 186%. The turnover has increased from $32 to $34 billion to $70 to $90 billion. This is a huge increase. Despite the efforts of the police in combating illegal activities, they've cracked down a number of syndicates. We see that technology has been used to enhance the covertness of illegal activities. It's more difficult for the police to track these activities. I agree that basketball betting should be put under a regulatory regime. Funds can be diverted to the legal channel. The survey suggests that 50% of punters will place their bets with the legal bookmaker. This will reduce the risk involved in money laundering and fraud. At the same time, the government will receive additional revenue. The betting duty will be charged at 50% of the net stake receipts, just like football betting. Looking at about the current turnover, there will be about 1.5 billion dollars in revenue. There are two sides to every move. To a certain extent, there will be more people engaging in betting. In 2003, football betting was legalized. We have seen about 1 to 2% of people under the age of 18 that have sought assistance because of gambling problems. We need to enhance enforcement, public education, and publicity, as well as regulation. We want to reduce the harm caused by youngsters. The administration has said that when a license is granted to the jockey club will have to abide by a number of conditions. Say, for example, not accept bets from people under the age of 18, not accept bets on local games, or games that involved Hong Kong teams. There will also be a new center providing counseling service. There will be step up in public education at schools. To reduce the chance of youngsters engaging in betting, I suggest that the publicity campaign of betting should be restricted to those above the age of 18. There should be a ban on using spokespersons, using celebrities as spokespersons. There should be a limited number of channels to restrict the penetration of betting publicity. Legalizing basketball betting will increase the revenue of Jockey Club in 26-27. The allocation from Jockey Club to Ping War Fund will increase to about $50 million a year. I expect the donation to Ping War Fund as well as other charitable organizations will increase. There will be an increase in subsidy to sports development. They need to fulfill their corporate social responsibility. There are many forms of betting activities online, so there is keen competition faced by the legal conductor. I suggest that, in terms of games such as snooker and other games with huge potential, the gambling activities should be legalized as well. The government also said that there may be additional competition if more than one conductor is licensed, and this will stimulate additional gambling activities, which runs counter to their goal. I don't agree. If there is more competition, conductors will have to work harder to maintain their image. They will advocate responsible gambling. They will train their staff to identify problem gamblers. There will be publicity events organized to teach the public about the risk of excessive gambling. If there is a sound regulatory regime, then the competition will encourage healthy development. The government is in financial straits. Hung Yee-Kuk has suggested that the government should set up an organization that is in charge of betting. This approach will bring additional revenue. This will address the problem of financial deficit. More resources will be made available to address different issues. Regularization can turn risks into revenue. But we have to be vigorous in our regulation. We have to step up education. We have to prevent youngsters from engaging in betting activities. With a regulated basketball betting regime, there will be additional revenue generated. So social needs will be better taken care of. I speak in support of the bill.
Mr. Tommy Zhang. President, the Liberal Party supports the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025, making reference to the existing football betting arrangement. The regulatory regime on basketball betting will be put in place. Betting or gambling has existed for a long time, and it has to do with how human beings behave. It is inevitable that gambling exists in society, but excessive gambling also brings harm to the individuals as well as their families, and there are divergent views in society as to how it should be dealt with. Some perceive gambling as a sin, and it should be stopped altogether through legislative means. Some believe that it's part of human nature, and effective control measures should be put in place. All along, we have adopted the legislative approach in controlling gambling, and it has yielded results. For example, the Hong Kong Jockey Club is licensed to be the conductor of horse racing events. Betting is allowed to satisfy public demand for gambling. The Hong Kong Jockey Club is also a responsible conductor. It prevents gambling addiction or pathological gambling. The Hong Kong Jockey Club also pays betting duty into the public coffers. As a major philanthropist in society, the Hong Kong Jockey Club makes major contribution to society as well. Now, I am part of the medical school of Chinese University of Hong Kong, and the medical school receives $1 billion of donation every year. So the Hong Kong Jockey Club contributes to our society, and Hong Kong government has always established and effective measures to combat excessive gambling. The Liberal Party gives recognition to the government's efforts. But there are also uncertainties as to high-end sports activities, especially spectator sports. The Liberal Party is of the view that if we're not able to curb illegal gambling on matches held elsewhere, the government should take resolute action according to the established policy to regulate such gambling activities through the betting duty ordinance. This can help stop the situation from spiraling out of control. We can also make sure that there is revenue generated to contribute to society. In 2003, the Liberal Party proposed legalizing football betting to the Hong Kong Jockey Club. The CEO at the same time told me this. Tommy, I don't know if we are able to be the conductor of football betting as well. I did not answer this because the Liberal Party only supported the government in issuing licenses. Anyone could be the conductor. If the Hong Kong Jockey Club turned it down, somebody else could take up the job. However, the Liberal Party supported designating Hong Kong Jockey Club as the conductor, because for other bookmakers, they took bets on credit. You don't need to actually place the bet. You can just claim the amount of stake, and then what happens is that you'll be heavily in debt because of placing bets on credits. And that is why the Liberal Party supported letting Hong Kong Jockey Club be the sole conductor, because the Hong Kong Jockey Club would not accept placing bets on credit. Now we see a similar situation. In 2003, betting on football matches held overseas had become possible. Since then, we have not seen any social problems spiraling out of control. Nowadays, because of technological advancements, illegal basketball gambling has become more rampant, and we must tackle this problem. It is only right for the government to regulate basketball betting through this amendment bill. The Liberal Party gives its full support. Finally, President, no matter this bill is passed or not, I still think that the SAR government should take a rigorous approach in combating illegal gambling, because the dire consequence of illegal gambling is that one can place bets on credit, and this can generate a lot of problems. Many members talked about the Ping War Fund. Now, the Ping War Fund fulfills a lot of functions. I'm not going to criticize it, but if I were a youngster, would I listen to the advice and not to gamble just reading the publicity materials? I think we should take a more targeted approach as far as young people are concerned. I studied abroad in the 1960s and 70s. In other countries, punters were allowed to place bets on various sports activities. Now, as a spectator, I wasn't keen on sports gambling. And in fact, so far I haven't placed any bet with the Hong Kong Jockey Club on any football match. Now, but I play basketball every now and then. I don't think I'm going to engage in basketball gambling. What I want to tell the public, especially young people, is that gambling is a major problem. You should think twice before participating in gambling. Many people's lives are shattered because of gambling. But unfortunately, you sometimes win. And that's the lure. Even in the food and beverage sector, I come across many colleagues, many employers, they engage in gambling because they often win big sums of money. They are disincentivized to work hard, but it brings no benefit to our society and their families. So I'd say that you should only engage in gambling in moderation, and you should only place bet when you have sufficient money. Don't place bet on credit, and just refrain from gambling if you're not that keen. Professor Lau Chi-Peng. Thank you, President. I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. I need to declare that I am a convener of our group on charitable projects funded by the Hong Kong Jockey Club. Now, there are 3 key words: gambling, Jockey Club, as well as Chinese. Now, like the other member just said, in fact, Chinese people are particularly fond of gambling. I'm afraid I can't cite any figures, but I'd say that Chinese people could lose up to $100 billion in a year at the gambling table. Let's not talk about where the $100 billion would go. Let's focus on today's bill and the keywords. What's attractive about gambling is that you can try your luck. And if you're lucky, you get a monetary reward. So this term, gambling, comes from an ancient term that means a kind of board game. So it's a kind of a game like chess or Go, and it involves somebody winning and somebody losing. Confucius in his teaching said in Analects said that those who have nothing better to do might start looking for something fun to do like gambling. So that's what Confucius said. So even in ancient times, gambling had been a major entertainment for the people. So coming back to our discussion, where should we draw the line? According to literature, in Qi dynasty and in the Warring States era, people were so fond of gambling that it became a habit. And back then, the Qi state was so wealthy that everybody was well off, like Hong Kong people nowadays, and that people had nothing better to do, but people were so well off that they gambled on animal fights and everything else. In the end, they came up with football. What's interesting is that we allow football betting in Hong Kong now. So starting from the Warring State era, things continued to develop. In Song dynasty, the situation worsened. It was an era when people were well off as well. So according to Su Dongbo, again, people had nothing better to do, so when they hang out, they would become so-called thieves, and that means they would engage in gambling. They would also drink and engage in gambling, and when they lost money, they would start killing others, engaging in robbery and theft and all kinds of crimes, as you've read in Chinese classical literature. So this term gambling started off as a kind of entertainment and a game and a leisure activity, but it got worse and worse over time, and it's part of human nature. So this term continues to evolve, and in recent years, an economist came up with a theory called the game theory. And it's not the same as somebody placing a bet in a game in order to scoop in a big sum. According to this author, this kind of competition between two parties could be applied to economics or international relations. So game theory has become a common phenomenon. That means if we impose suitable control on gambling activities, we can prevent the dire consequences from happening. Now, take Hong Kong Jockey Club as an example. It is a very good demonstration.
博彩稅修正。
Dr. Johnny I speak in support of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. I totally agree with the legislative intent and the implementation direction. I do not encourage gambling myself. In recent years, a number of people have been concerned about illegal basketball betting. According to statistics, illegal basketball betting has become very rampant in recent years. There are illegal gambling activities that take place online that has to do with cross-boundary organized criminal syndicates. According to the Jockey Club, in 2023, 100,000 to 150,000 Hong Kong bettors bet illegally on basketball, representing a 68% year-on-year increase. And the estimated annual illegal betting turnover recorded ranged from $32 to $34 billion. There's a rising trend of illegal betting with blockchain technology as well as other types of technology. Illegal bookmaking platforms have become more and more common. According to the latest information last year, we saw a surge of 186% in terms of the number of illegal basketball bettors, with 430,000 Hong Kong residents having betted illegally on basketball in 2024. It is believed the illegal market turnover in 2024 was around $70 to $90 billion, representing an increase of 100%. We need measures to curb illegal basketball betting through legislation. We should proactively regulate basketball betting, and this will be a very effective means. For example, we need basketball betting to be conducted through legal channels to combat illegal betting, and we have to stop criminals from making money through illegal channels. Some are worried that legalizing basketball betting would encourage gambling. There could be this possibility. The purpose of providing a legal channel for basketball betting is to respond to the demand for people so that they won't turn to illegal channels. As some members mentioned, some illegal channels could be very dangerous. You could bet without paying any money, and this could have a very harmful effect on people's family and lives. Over the past 5 years, the amount of basketball betting turnover ranged from $90 to $160 billion, $90 to $160 billion, and over $1.5 trillion have been directed to legal channels in terms of the betting turnover. Imagine if the money went to illegal channels, there could be dire consequences. The bill seeks to empower the Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs to authorize betting on basketball matches by issuing licenses. I think the Jockey Club should be the basketball betting operator. It is non-profit making, and after deducting administrative costs, all the proceeds will go to the charitable funds, and this will be done in a non-commercial basis. The Jockey Club is very well known to people in a lot of countries would like to learn from Hong Kong on this model. I hope the Jockey Club will shoulder more responsibilities in the future through different channels. It should step up its charitable initiatives. All in all, I hope that after the passage of the bill, the SAR government, while legalizing basketball betting, it should pay attention to gambling activities in Hong Kong through multi-pronged measures. It should step up law enforcement against illegal betting duty, and for those in need, we should offer counseling support to them to prevent gambling addiction. We should prevent minors from taking part in illegal betting. At the same time, we should further promote sports development in Hong Kong. We should devote resources to take care of the needs of our people to ensure social security. Thank you.
Does any other member wish to speak? If not, I now call upon Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs to reply, then the debate will come to a close. Secretary. President, I move the resumption of the second reading of the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025. First, I'd like to thank the Chairman, Mr. Ronald Chen, members of the Bills Committee, and the Secretariat for their hard work, which completes the scrutiny of the bill for the resumption of second reading debate today. I'd also like to thank members who have spoken for their support of the bill and for their comments. As I mentioned in the second reading, as a matter of policy, the government does not encourage gambling. To address gambling-related problems, the government adopts a multi-pronged strategy, including law enforcement against illegal gambling activities, public education on harms of gambling addiction, provision of counseling and support services to people in need, and the last one is to regulate betting activities through legislation. The purpose of this is to address public demand for certain gambling activities and allow legalized channels to prevent people from turning to illegal operators for placing bets. The bill seeks to amend the Betting Duty Ordinance Cap 108 and its subsidiary legislation to establish a regulatory regime for basketball betting. The Secretary will be granted the power to issue a license for basketball betting and to impose licensing conditions so as to minimize the negative impact of gambling on the public, especially on young people. We launched a one-month public consultation on the proposal to regulate basketball betting activities from April to May this year. It has received overwhelming support. We have also briefed the panel on Home Affairs, Culture and Sports on the outcome of the public consultation and on the proposed regime. Panel members in general supported us. The Bills Committee has since then completed the scrutiny of the bill. We thank the committee for their valuable comments. In the Bills Committee meetings, the government has provided detailed explanations to issues put forward, such as our work on combating illegal gambling and prevention of gambling. I thank the 28 members who have spoken for their support and for their comments. I will now give a consolidated reply to these comments and observations. I'll also address issues of concern raised during the scrutiny. First, policy considerations of legalizing basketball betting. The number of bettors in illegal basketball gambling shows that there is an actual and persistent demand for basketball betting. A number of people have expressed concerns about the impact from illegal basketball gambling. In order to combat such illegal activities, the government decides to establish a regulatory framework for basketball betting to divert the funds away from illegal activities and to enhance protection for punters. If the bill is passed, the government plans to draw reference from football betting to use the Jockey Club as the sole conductor. Secondly, some members are concerned about efforts to combat illegal online gambling activities. The police has established strategies to combat such activities. Examples are online patrol and intelligence collection through various channels, then investigations, then law enforcement actions when there is sufficient evidence. In the past 2.5 years, the police have issued at least 300 requests for removal of websites. In 2024, 5,300 people have been arrested for various gambling-related activities. We've also stepped up publicity against gambling about the penalty. Illegal bookmaking is an offense. Placing bets with them is also an offense. According to the gambling ordinance, illegal bookmaking is subject to $5 million fine and 7 years imprisonment. Placing bets with illegal bookmaking is also an offense. Upon conviction, there is a fine of $50,000 and an imprisonment of 9 months. After establishing the framework, we will continue to monitor the trend of illegal gambling activities. In addition to enforcement, we will also step up publicity to address illegal gambling activity-related issues. Third, on excessive gambling, we will keep up our work in 2 areas, namely rigorous regulation to minimize the impact of gambling on the public and enhancement of public awareness on the harm for excessive gambling through Ping Mo Fund regarding counseling and treatment services as well as education and publicity. Even though the number of young gamblers has been on the low side in the past few years, we will, in addition to the existing 4 funded counseling centers, allocate additional resources to establish a new center dedicated to providing counseling and support services for youngsters to guide them in developing proper understanding of the law and positive values. Public education efforts will be strengthened to emphasize that participating in illegal gambling, such as placing bets with an illegal bookmaker, is an offense. We are aware that there are comments expressed in relation to the work of Ping Mo Fund. As I've said in committee meetings, we will review the roles played by Ping Mo Fund, in particular the effectiveness of the work of the 4 counseling centers. Just now, there are members expressing views in relation to the concerns of regulating basketball betting activities. The work of the government on cracking down on illegal gambling activities does not stop at regulating basketball betting activities. We will enhance our enforcement efforts to crack down on different types of illegal gambling. We have new measures to publicize the harm of excessive gambling. We focus on youngsters. We'll also step up our education work. In short, we don't crack down on illegal gambling activities relying solely on regulation. We will use a multi-pronged approach to step up our work. Regulating basketball betting activities is one of our measures. We have more. A number of members mentioned about increasing resource allocations on the development of sports. Currently, about 90% of the after-tax operating revenues is devoted to a number of areas, including poverty alleviation, youth development, sports, as well as culture. From 2003-2004, there was about $900 million allocated. It has increased to $10.2 billion in recent years. Members asked for additional funds and donations on charitable work in different areas. In June this year, the Jockey Club announced that about $450 million to support the 15th National Games, the 12th National Games for personnel with disabilities, and the 9th National Special Olympic Games, because they are the sole partner in Hong Kong. About $70 million will be allocated to NGOs to promote local basketball development. We'll continue to ask Jockey Club to devote more resources in the development of different areas in Hong Kong. The bill establishes a regulatory framework on basketball betting, channeling funds to an legal channel. If the bill is passed, we'll continue to work with the Jockey Club, Ping Mo Fund, the lotteries, and the Betting and Lotteries Commission, as well as different stakeholders. We'll also continue with our multi-pronged approach. We'll be pragmatic and active to address various problems related to gambling. We ask members to support the passage of the bill. I so submit. Thank you.
I now put the question to you that the Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025 be read the second time. Will those in favor please raise hands? Dr. Martin Liao. Dr. Martin Liao? In relation to all the voting process relating to the bill, I need to declare that I am a member of the Hong Kong Jockey Club. Will those in favor please raise your hands? Those against, please raise your hands. I think the question is agreed by majority of the members present. I declare the motion passed. Betting Duty Amendment Bill 2025.